Well, we start the hour in Egypt, where 4 men have been executed by hanging. The men were convicted by a military court after killing 3 military students in a bombing in 2014. The executions were carried out in the Borg al-Arab prison, west of the coastal city of Alexandria. Now, this is the second reported multiple execution of convicted Islamic militants in a week. The first was the hanging of 15 men accused of deadly attacks in the Sinai Peninsula. Since 2013, Egypt has faced a growing insurgency from Islamic State fighters in the Sinai Peninsula. Authorities have also banned the Muslim Brotherhood and declared it a terrorist organization, leading to the arrest of thousands of its members and supporters. Well, for more on this, CGTN's Adel Al-Muruki joins me now from Cairo. Adel, as we're just looking at now, of course, this is the second hanging of terrorist suspects in just a week. Just talk us through how many terrorist suspects have been executed so far.
Well, all in all, when we talk about terrorism court cases, we're talking about cases that have been going on for violence that broke after 2013 ousting of former President Mohamed Morsi. There was a wave of violence. Terror attacks have spread across the country. So about 24 in these cases have been actually hanged. There were hundreds of death penalties recommended and given to defendants in absentia, but most of these have been appealed and are subject to automatic appeal and therefore are not executable until there's a final verdict. But for those who have been reached the end of all and have consumed all the appeals required or available for them to use in their court cases, that's about 24. 2 of them were before a regular criminal court, and the rest were in front a military court.
Now, Adel, as we know, of course, the death sentence is often hotly debated around the world. But how is the punishment by death being viewed by the Egyptian public in relation to terror attacks?
In Egypt and many, if not most, of the Islamic countries, it is not a big debate. The Islamic laws clearly state that those who deliberately kill another innocent life without no reason and without any clear defensive act, then their punishment should be the same. They should also be killed. And therefore, the death penalty in general is something acceptable within the Islamic laws and within the Muslim community in general. So there hasn't been a lot of debate about it. The main debate or the sensitivity about these issues here is mainly about the process of the judiciary, the judicial process about it, and whether there is clear accusations and clear investigations behind court cases. But that's not just for the death penalty. That's an issue with the entire judicial system in Egypt. That's only the point of criticism. But other than that, it has not raised any heated debates here.
I mean, as you say, of course, that you know, in Islamic law, death by punishment is widely accepted. But is there concern that this type of punishment might be viewed as a path to martyrdom and therefore, in the end up radicalizing more people?
Well, definitely. The entire process and the entire criticism that has fallen about dealing with insurgency only with police or military power is that violence in general would fuel violence again, and particularly for those who have been claiming a holy war against the state, against police officials, and now we're seeing them against civilians as well, which from an Islamic perspective is nonsensical. But in general, to them, there is a sense of war ongoing, and they see themselves, as you said, as martyrs who are defending their own belief. It's an extremist thought, of course, but this is the belief within them. And therefore, when the government arrests, when the government executes, or when someone gets killed in a crossfire, to them, it fuels more, it becomes more of a source to help in further recruitments and to help sort of prove the extremist point of view to their newly recruits. And this is a valid concern that many have, but at the same time it's quite a thin and a rough balance at the same time between keeping the rule of law in a country that has clear regulations and at the same time fearing the consequences. And in that sense, many would prefer the rule of law so that it will prevail, and hopefully it will be prevailing justly on everyone with the same regulations. And this is what mainly human rights organizations are concerned about, is that the fair and objective trials that everyone would be subject to, and that hopefully also would not have that grave consequences on the long term. But as long as there is violence, as long as there is a heated conflict with insurgency in general, that may be misused.
Adel Al-Muruki, thank you so much joining us there from Cairo.